Well, hello there. Welcome to my Halloween special, and I have an absolutely fantastic and creepy and scary Halloween. Now, today we are painting this ultimate pumpkin horror. This is from Reaper Miniatures. It's the metal version, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I want to do a quick speed paint on this miniature. And today we are just using a few colours. We've got some wood stain brown. We have some jungle moss. We have some pumpkin orange, specially formulated, especially for Halloween. We have some dragon white and some shadow silver. Very, very simple paint. All we need to do is add that pumpkin orange over the metal, and we're going to use some wood stain brown on the base of the miniature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime my metal miniature. I'm going to put 2 coats of pumpkin orange over the entire metal miniature to begin with, and that's going to be our base, and then we can work from there. And all we're going to do for highlights today is add some dragon white, and of course I'll add some wood stain brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that off camera. I'm just going to add the brown, and I'm going to do the pumpkin orange over the metal, and then we can get back into the details and keep this video short and sweet but to the point. Okay, so I've added the primer coats. We've got 2 coats of the pumpkin orange. We have some wood stain brown for the base there. Now I've also got some of the pumpkin orange and the dragon white on my palette here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I will kind of dry brush onto all the orange pumpkin areas. Now we can do this by individual segments, but as it's a speed paint, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix some of the orange with the white, and we're going to lighten that up, and this will be the highlights for the actual pumpkins. So we just add that there, just take off the paint on a tissue, and I'm just going to work my way around over the whole of the pumpkin where I have the little pumpkins. So we just start to do the highlights, simple as, and we'll just keep on adding more white to the mix. And what's going to happen is the dark pumpkin will stay at the back, and we'll get a nice light surface going around all the pumpkins. Very, very simple to do. You don't need to pick out every single little segment and paint them in individually, so you can get away with doing this. Of course, if you want a fantastic super job, you can take your time and really go into detail, but again, I like to do a speed paint. What I'm doing now is I'm adding more white to my pumpkin mix. So I'm only using a limited amount of colours today. Very simple. We just want to pick out the pumpkin segments. And as you can see, the actual segments now are starting to come out. So very, very simple and fast. We just want to leave the pumpkin, the original pumpkin colour, at the back. And we're trying to push out the pumpkins on the front of the pumpkins here, like I'm doing. Very, very simple. This is absolutely gorgeous. I think we can get away with one more pass. Very simple. Now, last pass again. I'm just adding some white, and I'm mixing that in with my original colour. So what we've done so far is we've just added two little drops of white to the pumpkin colour. So we're just making it lighter and lighter. Now this is the final highlight. Again, top of the pumpkins for this one, and just hitting the top of each pumpkin I can find on this little miniature, and work our way around. And that is awesome. There we go. And that's all our little pumpkins done. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, I'm going to leave this to dry a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll start adding the green and the browns. But as you can see, it's simple. All we've got there is 2 highlights on top. We got the pumpkin orange, and we got dragon white, and that's all I've done there. We just added 2 different colours and highlighted each segment. It's a very fast way of doing it instead of painting in each individual segment. So I shall let that dry for a second, and then we'll come back and add the browns and the greens. For all the different roots, don't know if that's the right word for this. For all the little green parts, let's call it the green parts of the pumpkin, we are going to be using jungle moss. So we're just going to go over there, and again we'll be using our white for the highlights. So I've got a 0 brush. This is a Pro Reaper brush by Reaper Miniatures, and I'm just going to go over all the areas in green. And it's the jungle moss is perfect because it's nice and dark. So we want to be quite careful what we're doing here, because this is there's lots of little vines. There we are. Great pumpkin vines. That's the word I'm looking for. Pumpkin vines. So I'm just going over all the little areas. And of course the green really starts bringing everything to life as well, and that is a nice bit of colour. Now we can do 2 things with this. We can do wet blending. I'll be doing wet blending, of course, because I'll be adding colours. I'll be adding the actual white while the paint is still wet. But of course you can do exactly the same once the paint is dry. Now all we're doing is adding a lighter colour. Now while this green is still wet, and it's a perfect time where we can add a little bit of the white and blend in the vines to give our highlights onto these green vines. But we're just doing a quick speedy paint over all the little green bits and making sure we're not going over the pumpkins. Remember, the top of the pumpkins are green. They have their little stems. Quickly go down here. I won't do all the green because we shall be here all day if you're watching me paint this miniature. So I'm just trying to show you roughly how I do each section. So what I'll do is I shall start adding this white now, so you can actually see what I'm talking about adding the highlights to the green areas, and then I'll finish it off later on. So okay, so that's most of the green on there, see? And the paint is still wet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just reducing the paint on my brush. Then I'm going into the white and mixing in with the green. So it's a very, very light green on my palette. Just get rid of the cat hair. And what we're going to do now is just on the highest areas, we're just going to add this straight onto the vines. And that gives us an instant light source and nice beautiful effect. Yeah, that's lovely. Very simple. Yeah. Again, add a little bit more white if it goes a little bit darker, and this is just wet blending into the green. Bit more white, and just on the tips there, what's happening is the dragon white is blending in with the green. It's a very, very light green I'm mixing on the palette, and then of course Because the paint is still wet, it's going on nicely on the tops of the vines. A bit on the top there. Beautiful. So this is how we do the vines. Get rid of that little hair there. Very, very simple. So that is just jungle moss and dragon white. And as you can see, the white that's just highlighted now. Now, the last little highlight again, going back in, dragon white again. So now it's like just very, 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 very light green. And we're just hitting the tops of the vines now. And little leaves. Just to finish off the highlights. Just on the highest areas. Okay, that's nice. I don't want to overdo it. Awesome. What I'll do is I'll finish off the rest of the vines and then we'll come back. See you in a couple of seconds. To finish off the pumpkins, what I've done, I've given them a layer of contrast paint. This is from Games Workshop. It's a very nice contrast paint, and it's given the it works really well over the top of the pumpkins, so you can still see the lovely highlights on the pumpkin. But what's happened is it's given it a nice warm colour. I mean, it's almost the same colour as the Halloween sign above now. So that's absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just finish off the base, and I'm going to give you a 360 of my finished pumpkin. Okay, here's the finished Halloween miniature. This is an absolutely beautiful miniature from Reaper Miniatures. And of course I want to thank all my new members. I have 8 channel members on my YouTube channel now, and I want to thank you all so much for becoming members and supporting the channel. If you want to also support me, I have a Ko-fi account. I have closed down my Patreon now, so Patreon is finished. I've only got Ko-fi and my YouTube now. So I want to say a huge thank you for all the people that have supported me in the past. Have an absolutely fantastic Halloween. I have lots more miniatures to be painting. I'll be starting on some dragons. I've got the dragon turtle to do next, so we'll be doing the dragon turtle. So until next time, have a very, very spooky Halloween.